Okay, and should be live. Let's see here. As always, of course, I'm going to test and see. See what we got going on here. Okay. I don't think we have any viewers just yet. Let's see. Or do we? All right. Yeah, it looks like we are. Awesome. Okay. Cool. We got a couple of you in here. Can you guys hear me all right? Just checking to see if this microphone. Okay, yes, it looks like it is the microphone. Okay, cool. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hey, Deca Master. All right. Hey, Avid Comic Reader, what's up? Hunter Tinsley, thank you for joining the stream. Denisha Jones. Cool. All right, here we go. All right. Once a ranger, always a ranger. Yes. Thanks for that, Avid Comic Reader. Wish me good luck. I'm not sure for what, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you. Always appreciate the support. So it looks like the Power Rangers tabletop game, Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, made goal. It looks like it went well over its goal, actually. So that for sure is going to happen. I'm going to be supporting their campaign as well. I might be purchasing more than one copy. I'm not sure just yet, but thank you for producing. Thank you for producing Henshin Time. Thanks to you, Mortens. Hyper Invincible Artist, no problem, man. Not a problem. I enjoy making the videos, so as long as y'all keep watching them, I will continue to produce those videos for as long as I can. I mean, barring any kind of legal issues, that's the only thing that would ever really stop me from making those videos, is if I got some kind of cease and desist order from Hasbro or something like that told me, hey, you can't make these videos no more. If you do, we're gonna we're gonna threaten you with legal action. That would be the only thing that would make me back off, obviously. But as far as that's not happening, yeah, I'm gonna continue to try to make those videos. I mean, I've had a little bit of issues though with today. Just an update, just to give you guys a little bit of an update. Today, hopefully, I will have the whole situation resolved with the flagging of one of my other videos, one of my other Henshin Time videos that was flagged by the Saban's Power Rangers channel. I'll know after today whether or not that's going to stand, if my appeal went through or if it didn't go through. And if it doesn't go through, which I'm really hoping it does, there is the possibility that part could be removed from YouTube and I could end up getting a strike on the channel, which would suck because then I wouldn't be able to do a live stream like this, at least not for a while. So I'm hoping that everything will work out and I won't have any issues. So I'll know pretty much. I should know something by tomorrow. I'll probably tweet out as soon as I know something, though, just to give you guys an update because I've been keeping a close eye on it. So, all right. How did you get to the information? How did I get the information for Henshin Time? Just a lot of research. That's really all it boiled down to. I dug and dug and dug. I even went on some Japanese sites that I was able to translate, but a lot of the information that I gathered for the parts, I had to look deep within the internet. And I had to not only, once I found some of the information, I had to corroborate that information to make sure that it was all consistent across the board, because that's the only way to really, there's not a lot of literature over here regarding Super Sentai or Kamen Rider or anything like that. There are Tokusatsu related books, things, but they're more like based on kaiju stuff. There's a lot of like books on Godzilla and other kaiju movies and the kaiju movie genre, as well as some off-kilter books on lesser known Tokusatsu movies. But there's not like a deep assessment of like Henshin Hero Tokusatsu, at least not in literature form. Oops, sorry about that, guys. I forgot the microphone. At least not yet. So it required me really digging deep and really verifying a lot of the information that I found out and making sure that it was as consistent as possible. And also it was really just making sure that a lot of the information that I found was backed up by a lot of people that I would say have much more expertise in the field than me. So they're never going to be perfect, though. That's the thing, because there's always going to be something that's lost in translation, but I try to make them as accurate as I possibly can. But I know that in some of the parts there probably is some mistakes, or there is some things that I probably should have specified better. So I'm well aware of those flaws in some of the earlier parts in Henshin time, but I've tried to since then really be better about that. But the thing is, there's always going to be some kind of information, some detail that is probably going to be left out. And not because of a conscious effort to leave it out. It's just because there's just so much different information, you know, and it's just really just finding what I could fit in there and making sure that it's as, you know, as accurate as possible. So see the wave. Well, thank you for joining the stream anyways. Appreciate you being here. Oh, you're going to come back. Okay, that's fine. Big cool new day. Big cool guy new day. Have you seen the code? It's on YouTube. You should do a review. This show is cool. You said code Lokio? I mean, if it's a, sure. I mean, I could always give it a watch and see if it's a Tokusatsu show. Sure, I'd be willing to give it a shot. So thanks for. That's awesome. So you've seen the Japanese Spider-Man series. What do you think of it? If Beast Morphers is a success, I mean, it's possible that we could end up seeing a Tokuger adaptation. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, the toys would sell well. I mean, people think, oh, well, they're not sure trains would sell well over here. Are you kidding me? Kids love trains. I mean, Thomas the Tank Engine has been on for what, well over 20 years now. I mean, kids love trains. So, I mean, I could see them potentially adapting that one next as well. I think they should. You know, it'll give them more time to build up on the other seasons that they haven't really gotten into yet. So, but what I'm really hoping for is that once the Nickelodeon deal is up, if they do renew with Nickelodeon, I hope they find a better way to put the show out. So that's what I'm looking forward to once that deal is over. Yeah, getting back to Heroes of the Grid for just a sec. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. A lot of it seems like it's really based off of the Star Wars Imperial Assault game, because Jonathan Ying was one of the designers of that game. So it looks like he's taken a lot of the mechanics or a lot of the inspiration from that and putting it into Heroes of the Grid. But it looks like it's going to be a little bit different. It doesn't look like it's going to, from all I've been reading, it doesn't look like it's going to play exactly like that, but it's going to play very similar to it. So. And if that's the case, like I said in the video where I talked about Heroes of the Grid, it should be a pretty good game. It might be the best tabletop game we've ever gotten for Power Rangers, because there's one that came out in the 90s. They came out with the Power Rangers board game. I believe Milton Bradley did, and it was not good. Okay, so I haven't seen it yet, but from what I've seen, this was OG Comic Plus. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's going to be a lot. Should be a lot of things. No Power Morphicon is this weekend. How many of y'all are going to Power Morphicon this weekend? Anybody here in the chat? Because I unfortunately will not be there. So I know that a lot of my contemporaries, a lot of my Toku brethren will be out there this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. Oh, you're in the UK. Well, you could always come to Ranger Stop. That's a lot closer to the UK. So much cheaper flight. And I mean, it's smaller than Power Morphicon. But the good thing about Ranger Stop being smaller is the fact that you're going to get more time with a lot of the guests there. So, and it won't have as many guests as Power Morphicon, but like I said, the good thing is that you get much more of a personal experience with the guests. So, have I checked out the new Kamen Rider toy line? I have not. Hunter Tinsley, thank you for that. I'm glad you're enjoying Henshin time. I'm still working on part 9, so hopefully I'll have that. I'm going to have a sneak preview of that up. Hopefully for those of you that are patrons, should have a sneak preview of that up, hopefully within the next couple days. But as far as the part, it's still a little bit of a ways from being done. So, and I have not seen the new Kamen Rider toy line. I want to get a, I think it's called Jiku Driver. I guess is what they're calling Gio's transformation device is going to be called the Jiku Driver. I'm definitely interested in getting one of those. What is my favorite Sentai suit? That's a toss-up. It's probably, if I had to pick, man, if I had to pick, I would probably have to say the Die Ranger suits. I really like the Die Ranger suits a lot. But, you know, I ain't gonna lie, those the Koryuger suits, I like them too. But if I had to pick, I'd say the Die Ranger ones. What do you think of the current Toku fan base and how it's growing? I think it's going good. I mean, I see no problem with it. I think, you know, we're getting, trying to make sure I don't hit this microphone so much. Let me move it here. You guys are going to get a little bit of a noise for a moment, just so I can move it in a way where I won't keep hitting it. I think the fan base is growing good. I think it's definitely catching on. Toku is definitely catching on a bit. And the thing is, now that we're seeing a rise of a lot more streaming services like Crunchyroll that are willing to put Tokusatsu on their streaming service, and seeing, I think with the release of Ultraman, the Ultraman series is coming out on Netflix as an exclusive series on Netflix, that might help open the doors a little bit more to maybe even Netflix putting some Tokusatsu shows on there. Hey, Patty Murphy, what's going on? But there's also another streaming service, which I'm going to be doing a video about here probably within the next, maybe within the next couple of days. There's a Toku streaming service, actually literally called Toku, that is kind of rising up here. It's been around for a couple of years now, but it's starting to gain a little bit of traction now. So I'm going to be talking about them for a little bit. As far as their viability for the future, I don't know, because the thing is, there's some drawbacks that I see to their streaming service, but I'll talk about that in a little bit more. I'll talk a little bit more in depth about that when I actually talk about their streaming service. So, Supersonic 55. I really want to get the Light and Green Ranger expansion pack and Red Ranger Dragon Shield, but I have no way to donate to the Kickstarter, so I'm kind of sad. Hey, no worries, man. If you can't donate to the Kickstarter, you have nothing to worry about, because the people that are donating to the Kickstarter, they're not going to be the only ones that are going to get the game. The game is already past its goal, which is good. So that means that this is a game that will probably be mass produced. It's going to get that kind of attraction, especially if it gets very good reviews by like board game, you know, some of the bigger voices in board gaming, like the Dice Tower, for example. If Dice Tower plays it and they think it's a really good game and they get the Dice Tower seal of approval, that'll help its credibility when they take it to big board gaming conventions, like say like Origins or something like that, or which I think Origins might have already passed for this year, and I know Gen Con was, I believe, 2 weeks ago. But once they're able to get it to these big gaming conventions, maybe like PAX or something like that, if they could have more of a showing of it there where they could showcase it, it's going to help it gain a lot more traction. So if you can't get it now, I don't think you have to worry about it. I think you'll eventually get your hands on a copy of it. Just because you don't get your hands on the Kickstarter copy doesn't mean you'll never get your hands on a copy of it or its expansion. So just save your money and just wait for it to all come out in the stores or, you know, the local game shops. The Die Ranger suits, they do have, like, the only thing that they have really similar to the Lost Galaxy suits is just the upper part being white. But the thing is, the Lost Galaxy suits, it like cuts off like midway through, whereas the Die Ranger suits, the whole top part up until the waist is that white, you know, with the sleeves on it. So kind of like that. All right, let's see. Do you know that I watch Power Rangers on Cartoon Network here in Mexico? You do. Los Power Rangers. Well, that surprised me. They have it all around. So Power Rangers has become, it's become an international phenomenon. It's been one for now 25 years. So glad you're able to see it over there though, and enjoy it. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of tabletop gaming, and I've been working on some more videos on my other channel. That's why there hasn't been as many as consistent uploads here, because I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of balance both channels there, because I'm trying to make the other channel I'm building up to be a little bit more of a channel that I cover things that I normally wouldn't cover on here. So okay. Well, that would make sense, because Die Ranger was a very heavily Chinese themed season, with a lot of Chinese themed mythology. Whereas Henshin Time, it's still being made, or it's still in post production, I should say. So, how will we get additional Rangers, or has that not been said? What do you mean, additional Rangers in what? In upcoming Power Rangers shows, or do you think Sentai adaptations are the only Toku adaptations that have lasted this long? Really, I would say, I mean, it just has to do with Power Rangers. It works because of it being a superpowered team, with it being a diverse, the fact that they make it a diverse group of individuals, diverse group of ethnicity and race. I think that's the reason why it has much more of a mass appeal, and why it's still able to last, even though it's not doing too well. Yeah, the Ninja Steel, I heard about that. It's going to be on prime time. It wouldn't be the first time that Power Rangers did a prime time showing of a special episode. Like if for those of you that remember the early days of Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, the Green with Evil saga, they actually played some of those episodes in prime time, because it was that big of a deal. And they also did it with the season premiere of Power Rangers season 2. That actually premiered in prime time. Premiered at 8 o'clock at night. I remember that. Oh, the Heroes of the Grid game? They'll definitely be adding more Rangers to it. They plan on doing expansions where they add more heroes to it. At least as far as I've read, they have every intention of doing that, of adding more hero packs and things like that. Because, like I said, it's very similar to Imperial Assault. With Star Wars Imperial Assault, it has a lot of mini expansions in it where you could add heroes to the game, and they have like their own little kind of objectives and things that they can do and abilities. So the game is made in such a way that you could add things like that to it, and it doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. It adds to the game without doing anything convoluted or confusing. So I assume that Heroes of the Grid is going to be the same way, where you could have hero packs added in with the characters. So, all right, let's see. I think Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad could have launched if Gridman continued its sequel. I'm not sure what you mean there, Hyper Invincible Artist. You go for next adaptation or any other writer series for that matter. I mean, that's completely possible. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad place for them to start, considering how mainstream gaming is now. As far as adapting another common writer series here for an American audience, it probably wouldn't be a bad place to start doing a video game based writer. So, Lewis 02, are you Mr. Winnie Productions? Just kidding. Hello, John. He's just a friend of mine. For those of you that are going to Power Morphicon this weekend, he'll probably be there. For those of you that are also subscribed to Mr. Weenie Productions, do you think you'll get a Power Rangers Muso game? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, Patty. Okay. Where's Part 10? Part 10, well, it's still in post-production. like I said, for anybody that is a patron, they will get a sneak preview here soon in the near future. So the Dire Ranger suits were going to be in Lost Galaxy. To be called Ancient Rangers, but they cut that out. Yeah, it's unfortunate that they, if that's true, that they did that. Well, they did still end up using the Aura Changer for the Magna Defender's transformation device for that season. So at least something of Dire Ranger made it into Lost Galaxy. No. And the Aura Changers, you know, one of my all-time favorite morphing, you know, transformation devices for a Super Sentai series. You're going to adapt Kamen Rider Kuga? Kamen Rider Kuga is good. That's my favorite Heisei era rider, is Kuga. Great series. Fun series, I think. The first 10 episodes are a little bit on the slow side, but once you get through them, it's a pretty good series. To me, I also look at it as the darkest series of the Heisei era. That and Faiz, I would say, are the two darkest of those that early Heisei run. What I think they should do for the theme, honestly, I think, well, maybe not for the 45th season, but at some point, maybe for the 50th season, I think that they should do a kind of an homage to Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, and do a secret agent type theme, I think. But as far as the 45th goes, I don't know. They could do a variety of different ones. My guess is that it will probably be it'd probably be an animal themed season. I mean, they've had a ton of those, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's a real shame the Dire Rangers were cut. I would love to have seen PR Canon. Well, besides, yeah, it would have been great. There could have been so many ways for them to weave in a lot of the things that we didn't see, and things that they cut out of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like the Dire Ranger suits. I think there could have been a way for them to weave those into the story in a way that would have been plausible. You know, like if for those of y'all that remember when Zordon gave Tommy the White Ranger powers, he said, you know, they were the powers of, you know, the light of good. You know, I think that they could have done something with the Dire Ranger suits where they said each of the Dire Ranger suits came from a certain kind of virtue or power. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you could say the light of one could be the light of good, one could be the light of peace or something, or piety or serenity or something like that, or loyalty, like all these good, like positive qualities, you know, these positive traits and virtues. I think would have been an interesting thing for them to do, but you know, it is what it is. What PR shows do you wish should be redone? I mean, I think Turbo is one that they could have done a better job with. Maybe Turbo, and maybe see, the thing is, I would say Ninja Storm, but the thing is, there is some things that I did like about Ninja Storm. I would say that's my second least favorite season is Ninja Storm, but there are some things that there are some things they did right in Ninja Storm, so I can't knock it too much. But one thing I wish they would have done differently in Ninja Storm was make Shane a much more interesting character, because I really couldn't get behind Shane as a Red Ranger, not until like way later in the season is when he finally started to grow on me a little bit. But I felt that he was a really just vanilla character, just very boring. Like, I thought his character was about as interesting as a wet tube of toilet paper. You know, I could not get behind Shane at all. He was not a likable character. He was not a likable leader. I didn't really see him as a very good leader either. Like, he just was, it's like he was just there. So, okay. When is the next part? The next part's going to be when it comes out, man. I can't give you an exact date there, Carlos. Okay. right, let's see. Don't worry, man. You'll make it a Power Morphicon one day. Don't worry about that, Lewis. Okay, let's see. Operation Overdrive. You would redo Operation Overdrive? I'm sure a lot of people would agree with you there. What are your favorite PR shows? Number one favorite, if I had to pick, and I think I've said this before, would probably be Power Rangers in Space. And I've said that before, and RPM would probably be the next one after that. But I do still love MMPR the first season, though. That's always going to be a guilty pleasure, even though it's terrible. It hasn't aged well, but it had its moments. It had some good moments in it. Yeah. Well, that's the problem. That's not a bad point, Lewis. Mystic Force was still a decent series, I thought, but that's what ended up becoming probably the biggest problem in Power Rangers, is when they had a series that focused primarily on one character over the rest of the team. But there have been seasons that have done that, but have still managed to balance it. Like Time Force, I think, did a good job of balancing. Wes is the main character, but it did a good enough job of balancing it out where, although Wes was obviously the main character of the show, you still got enough of the rest of the characters to balance that out. The problem with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was that once the original three left the show, once Jason, Trini, and this is just my opinion, of course, but once Trini, Zach, and Jason left the show, there was still stuff going on, but you really saw a shift towards them really focusing a lot on Tommy. It's like it wasn't a thing. The team didn't seem as strong unless Tommy was there. Tommy, it really started to focus a lot around Tommy after that, and that to me is what started affecting the show, is that it seemed like they were not as capable as they were beforehand, the team itself. It's like they seemed to rely a lot more on Tommy to bail them out of situations. The show, at least to me, that was my perception of it. I mean, it seemed to really focus on how Tommy could get him out of a sticky situation, and that to me was not good. That to me took a lot away from the rest of the team. Have you seen the Japanese dub of Kamen Rider Dragon Knight? Yes, Kamen Rider Ryuki, I have seen it. I did like Kamen Rider Ryuki. The only thing bad about Kamen Rider Ryuki is that it has its inconsistencies with how it tries to resolve the story. It's just like, I guess people weren't satisfied with the way it ended initially, so they made that movie afterwards and said, well, this is going to be the end. And then it's kind of a convoluted mess towards the end there, but it was okay. I mean, I still enjoyed Ryuki as a series. It's one that I would rewatch for sure. But that probably was the biggest glaring problem with it. Dragon Knight was a decent adaptation. The only problem with Dragon Knight is that it ended up in a lot of instances, Dragon Knight would start to build up a little bit of momentum, then it would come to a screeching halt. Then the pacing was really weird in Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, because there would be times where you start to get into it and then it just feels very bland. It just feels very bland, and that goes on for a couple episodes, and then it picks up again. So it's just like it's a complete seesaw. It was the action scenes were good in a lot of the episodes, but it's just sometimes they weren't consistent enough, I thought, with how they were presenting the story. So Megaforce and Super Megaforce is pure crap. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure, but I've heard from a lot of people that it is not good. Why isn't Xander the leader of the group of Mystic Force? Too cocky, I guess. I don't know. What I think about Saban's Masked Rider, Masked Rider was very cheesy to me even back then, but I still watched it. It's one of those shows that it's a guilty pleasure watch. You can see that they're trying really hard in it, And that, I think, was the biggest problem with Masked Rider. And I felt that even back then. Like, when I watched the show, I was like, man, they are trying so hard, trying so hard. And that didn't help the series in the long run. But, I still enjoyed it for what it was. It's one of those shows. It's bad. It's a really bad adaptation of Kamen Rider. But, I like it for what it is. It was okay. It was okay. It was a good alternative, I guess, at the time, to Power Rangers, albeit like it was a very... The best alternative to Power Rangers at that time was VR Troopers. VR Troopers had a good story. It was consistent, and it was still a fun show. That was a good alternative to Power Rangers. Masked Rider, not so much, but because it was on the same network, you just kind of had to take it with Power Rangers. So. Okay, Dino Charge needs a total redo. I've heard people have mixed feelings about Dino Charge too. That it started off well, and then it just kind of fell into the same trap that a lot of these Neo Saban seasons have been falling into, where the quality of storytelling is, starts to drop off. So. Yeah, they did make a movie for Ryuki. They made, I want to say they only made one. Yeah, they made a movie after, I believe, one movie afterwards that was supposed to be like the definitive end of how things happen, but people still question it. It doesn't seem, it's a little bit different. It's a different take on the last, I think, 2 episodes of Ryuki, if I'm remembering correctly. All right. So. Episode 7 celebrates the 40th year of Zyuohger. Anniversary season celebrates the 40th season, adding 2 teams, 1 season. The amount of years by the amount of teams. Okay. Don't watch Megaforce, please. Okay. I will eventually probably end up watching it at some point. Their seasons. Look, when I started, before I even started making Henshin time, I had already started watching seasons of Power Rangers, and I had already started taking notes on them just to see a lot of the differences between the shows. So eventually I will, that'll be far in the future. I'm not going to watch it anytime soon, but I'll probably have to strap myself to a chair and force myself to watch it. Which is the worst Power Rangers you've ever seen? I think I answered that earlier, Trevor Head, and that's I think Turbo is the absolute worst season. Although Turbo does probably has the best season finale of any season. Unfortunately, it didn't excuse the rest of the series and how bad it was. So much Megaforce. Round of applause for me. Hello and goodbye. Okay. Join us on the next stream, Tokusatsu Nerd. B-Boy Bootleg. What do you think of Just Man getting a US DVD release? I think that would be great. We need more Metal Hero Tokusatsu over here. VR Troopers, I think, already got a DVD release. As far as them, what I would like to see is a DVD release of those shows, the Japanese version of those shows. Amazon Season 1 on Amazon Prime. I know about that, Nick M. I've seen Amazon's. Amazon's, I think, is a good series. At least I've seen the first, I want to say 4 episodes of it, and I liked it. So. Okay. Let's see. What else we got here? Have you seen Dragon Knight, and what do you think of it? I have seen Dragon Knight. I've seen every episode of Dragon Knight. I liked it. I thought it was okay. Not the best adaptation of Kamen Rider yet, but much better than Masked Rider. And I'm a big fan of Mark Dacascos, so just seeing him in a Tokusatsu show was cool because that's something that should have happened for him much sooner. Because Mark Dacascos, and I mentioned this, I believe I mentioned this in the last live stream, Mark Dacascos was actually going to be the first Red Ranger of Power Rangers. He was going to be Bio Red. He was going to play the role of Victor Lee, who would have been the very first Red Ranger of the Power Rangers series. So Yeah, Juice Beyond. That's good. That's good. We need to see more of that. So, what is my favorite Power Ranger season? Power Rangers in Space. Which we don't talk about. And Kabutek, which we don't talk about. Hey, you know, they might be silly shows, but you know, there's somebody out there that likes them. I mean, there's a lot of people that say that B Fighter and B Fighter Kabuto is not a good series, but there's some people that love them anyways. So cool. Adapt it, Deca Master. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate it. Ty the Enemy Speedster. Have you ever seen Gridman? I have seen the first episode. Unfortunately, there are no other episodes that I have been able to find that are subtitled. I've only seen the first episode subtitled. That's it. So I don't really know a lot about Gridman. I can't really base much info off of just watching one episode. I do know that he's a police officer. You know, but that's pretty much it. Are you excited for the Gridman anime? I am. I actually do want to see it because I did watch Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad when I was young. So definitely looking to see what the differences are going to be. So hopefully it'll be good. I'm looking forward to seeing the Ultraman series that's coming to Netflix too. So that's one I hadn't made a video about yet, but if a Metal Hero release, I've said this before on a previous stream, I'm pretty sure, but one that I want to see get a DVD release is Metalder. Chogenki Metalder is my favorite Metal Hero. It's a great series, fantastic series. It came out the same year as Kamen Rider Black. Like, that was a good year for dark tokusatsu. Because I believe Mask Man also came out that year too. So it was a good year for dark 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 Henshin hero tokusatsu. So Gridman is on Amazon Video on the Toku channel. Awesome. Okay, all right, let's see. Have you seen Ultraman Tiga for Kids dub? I have not seen it. Guess I'll have to check that out. Thoughts on tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills? I actually used to watch that show when it was on USA. I saw a couple episodes. And the thing is, I never took it seriously because I knew it was made to be a parody of Power Rangers. And the thing is that it was blatantly made to be a parody of Power Rangers. They would make fun of all the tropes that you would see in Power Rangers in that show, or a lot of them, I should say. So I thought it was funny, but obviously it's not a show that I was really super into. But I did watch a couple episodes of it back when it was airing. Yep, I know about Dean Ambrose coming back. I like his new look. I think he looks much more menacing. I think with the shaved head and with the beard. I think it makes him look much more menacing. So, and it might just be me, but it looks like he's a little bit bigger, like muscular wise. It looks like he might have been in the gym more. You know, he looked at least to me, or maybe it's just because we haven't seen him in a long time, but he definitely looked bigger. All right, take care, Deca Master fan. Neo Revenant Alchemist. When will VR Troopers get a Blu-ray? I don't know, but I know that VR Troopers has already gotten a DVD release. So that's out there. I know for a while VR Troopers was on Netflix too. I don't know if it's on there anymore though. And Big Bad Beetleborgs was also on Netflix for a little while too. Ty the Anime Speedster. Yeah, Shout Factory, as long as people keep buying them, they'll keep making them. So I don't think you have anything to worry about there. Do you like Garo? I love Garo. Garo is great. I've seen the first season of Garo, and I think I saw the first movie that they made for Garo, but I have not seen the second season. I've seen only like the first 2 episodes, I think, or 3 episodes of the second season of Garo. So see, For them to release a series like B Fighter and B Fighter Kabuto, it would have to depend on how well, how much the demand is for something like, see, Big Bad Beetleborgs, they released it on DVD a while ago, but I don't know that it sold like really super good. So Tokusatsu and Adult Swim, that's a possibility. Absolutely a possibility, especially if they decide not to censor it as much. Definitely a possibility on something like Adult Swim. But that's, of course, if Cartoon Network is interested in it like that. Ultraman Kamen Rider crossover. I think they have had one in the past. I'm not sure. They might have. I think Tsuburaya Productions and Toei might have made one. I could be wrong about that though. Oh, not just a 9-minute short. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, it's possible that they could go as far back as Go Ranger. I mean, they're releasing Jetman, so it's obvious that they're interested in doing a pre-Jew Ranger Super Sentai as well. So they could just keep going back as well. That maybe now their process is going to be going backwards from Jetman. So, or maybe simultaneously going backwards and forwards. So, yeah, Go Ranger is the first Super Sentai series. Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Oh, you mean they stream it for free, Darkman Jeff? Yes. Kamen Rider Den-O, yes, I think they are. They need to be a little bit more, they should be more proactive with that, because I'm not sure I'm not sure what exactly was the whole reasoning behind it, but I know that a lot of the reason why, or my understanding is, I should say, let me clarify. A lot of the reason why Ultraman didn't appear in Ready Player One was apparently due to them not being able to work out a deal with DreamWorks and with Steven Spielberg. That apparently had a lot to do with him not being, with Ultraman not being in it, was supposedly, and again, I say supposedly because I don't know that for a fact, but just from the little I've been able to read about it, supposedly it was more due to Tsuburaya Productions' reluctance over it than it was over anything that Spielberg and DreamWorks did, supposedly. So I don't know how true that is, but it wouldn't surprise me, because Tsuburaya Productions, I guess I could kind of understand, because it's, Tsuburaya, maybe they saw what happened with Kamen Rider Black RX, and maybe they had reservations about it because of that, but I think they should have done it. I don't think that in Ready Player One, I think they did justice to, they did justice to Godzilla with Mechagodzilla. They did justice to Gundam with the RX-78. So I don't think that they would have fumbled it. We are not going to Power Morphicon, unfortunately. I can't make it this time, but you're going to see a lot of my contemporaries there. You're going to see people like Easy Rider from Toku Time. I know he's going. Mr. Weenie Productions is going. Zarin Sepher. Bruno from MMPR Toys should be over there, but I think he goes there pretty frequently. Well, then again, I don't know if Bruno's going, because I know Bruno moved recently. But Bruno, I think, is going to be heading out there. But you'll see a lot of people that make Power Rangers related content or Tokusatsu related content out there, for sure. Kamen Rider on Crunchyroll, maybe. It's a possibility. I don't see. It's not a big stretch to think that they won't put that on there. So I could see it happening. Will there be another Western Ultraman series? Well, they're actually putting Ultraman on Netflix. I don't think that they'll do an actual. If you're talking about a Western-made Ultraman series, I don't think that'll ever happen again. But you can never say never. As far as them adapting one to American television, I don't know, but I think we'll have a clearer sense if they can do that or not once the Ultraman series plays on Netflix, and see how much the interest is for Ultraman after that. I think we'll have a better, grasp, and see if maybe potentially it could be something that they put over here for a Western audience. But I don't know that they'll do it in a live action way. I mean, the series that's coming out for Netflix is going to be a CG series, so. Well, just keep tweeting at Shout Factory. I mean, the more that people show interest in these shows, the more Shout Factory is going to consider getting their hands on them, especially if they see that there's a lot of people asking about it. That's definitely going to open the doors for them potentially bringing these shows over here. Because if there's interest, I mean, there's no reason for them not to, right? I mean, it's money. They'll be printing money, so. Can't really watch any Super Sentai Beyond Mega Ranger for some reason. You know, Darkman Jeff, I got as far, because I was watching them kind of chronologically from, I started from some 80s series and was watching forward from there. And that's actually the one I stopped at too, was Mega Ranger. So I know what you mean. I could kind of see what you mean. I mean, I'm going to soldier through it though, regardless, because at some point I got to, talk about Mega Ranger. So. Like Ultraman Guide. I haven't seen Ultraman Guide. Okay. I see what you're saying. Common Redder Den. Okay, I got you. Then Carl will be there too. And Bruno will be there. Yeah, Bruno usually goes. Bruno used to live out there. So, but he moved recently. I know that. And Linkar, I think, always goes too, so. Pets Kaiju ending name. Thoughts on SSSS Gridman? I'm looking forward to it. I definitely want to see. All right, TL Lucario, you have a good one. Thanks for joining the stream. Catch you on the next one. Thoughts on SSS Gridman? Yeah, like I was saying, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time since Gridman's been around, so it's gonna be good to see him back and see what they do with him. It looks like a series that's gonna be fun. Power Rangers, I doubt it. I don't know that. I don't know how they would, at this point, how they would go about weaving Lord Drakon into the actual TV canon. Now I do know that Hyperforce is part of the comic book canon. I don't know where Hyperforce, I keep hearing a lot of people say, oh, it's canon. I look at it, it's canon to the Boom Studios comic, but I don't know how much. It's not until the Hyperforce team actually appears in the TV episode, an actual TV episode. To me, it's not canon to the TV series. To me, that's a completely separate continuity. So, but I do know that they're canon to the Boom Studio comics, which is fine. But I don't know how they would really, that would take them kind of backtracking a little bit to weave Lord Drakon into the overall story. For the Red Beast Morpho Ranger. Well, one thing that's going to happen for sure, Ty, is that at Power Morphicon, they're going to reveal the cast. They'll reveal the cast at Power Morphicon for Beast Morphers. There's a pretty good chance that they're going to do that. That's one thing that's been a kind of a tradition at Power Morphicon, is that they've revealed the cast they've done the cast reveal for the next season at Power Morphicon. What do you think of the returning Rangers coming back in Super Ninja Steel? I've seen a couple of them. I heard that Tommy and Kat are married, or they're gonna acknowledge them as a married couple in that. I don't know how true that is. That'd be cool if they did that, because it would definitely verify what the episode from MMPR where it showed them both being old and married. So that'd be cool. How do you feel about the Go Andrew 10-year movie? Will you see it? I haven't seen Go Andrew yet, so probably not, but I'll get around to it at some point. I mean, I'm interested in watching as many Super Sentai shows as I possibly can. I mean, I kind of have to watch as much of them as I can whenever I do these Henshin Time videos. Whenever I haven't been able to watch through a whole series that I've covered, what I've done is I've tried to read up on as much as possible. Like for the first, a lot of the 70s and early 80s shows were tough because a lot of them, at least at the time, a lot of them were not subbed into English. So I had to take what little subs were out there and then just kind of fill in the rest by just kind of researching information. So let's see. You think we get the movie exclusive Go Busters in the series? Maybe. I mean, though, you know, I hope that my biggest hope is that Hasbro will take advantage of every little bit that they can possibly get of the series, whether they be, you know, these special side movies or whatever, and do something with them in a way, kind of like how Saban was willing to do in the early 90s. I hope it's something that they will do, that Hasbro will do here once they get a hold of the series and start making the series. So all right. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see once Gridman comes out. There's a new graphic novel that will have Tommy come out of retirement to save his son he has with Cat. That's cool. So in the comics, they'll be confirming that too. So I mean, they could do that. They've done that before. It wouldn't be the first time that they've shown a cast that's of different ages. I mean, that's what happened with Dino Thunder, you know, Tommy obviously being the much older of them. And it happened in Jungle Fury. Because remember, RJ was supposed to be quite a bit older than the rest of the Jungle Fury Rangers as well. He was their mentor. So, but he was, you know, a different age. Let's see. Do you remember the first Power Ranger merchandise you ever bought or received? The first Power Rangers merchandise I ever bought was the 8-inch Red Ranger figure, the one that came out in 1993, the one in the triangle box. That was the first thing that I ever bought Power Rangers related. And then after that, I bought the I saved up for weeks. I remember actually, yeah, for weeks. I saved up for weeks upon weeks, just doing odd jobs and things like that. And I bought the Megazord. Yep. Showed it at the end of Zeo, I believe, right? Okay, yeah, it was Zeo. Okay. So what Tokusatsu is, I see the term being thrown around. Tokusatsu, the definition of Tokusatsu is special filming in Japan, which mostly refers to the genre of science fiction. So anything that requires special filming would be considered Tokusatsu, but since it's more associated with science fiction more than anything else, because that's what it was really used for back in the day, was a lot of science fiction movies. So, you know, really what helped popularize Tokusatsu, though, was things like Godzilla, which required a lot of special filming in the sense of people getting into suits, you know, them using a lot of, you know, miniatures and things like that, and doing things to make it look real. So that's what Tokusatsu is. So anything that has, basically anything that has special effects in it in Japan, that is live action, is considered Tokusatsu. Do you think Hasbro would improve PR's reputation to the Screen Actors Guild? Hard to say. I mean, they could end up keeping the same practices as Saban and keep filming in New Zealand, but who knows? I think I had heard something about them saying that they're going to bring it back to LA, but I don't know. I'm not sure that is. I mean, that's how they're getting around, you know, the Screen Actors Guild is by filming in New Zealand, you know, where the show can't be unionized. So you think that was the best right hand man for the, oh, who do I think was the best right hand man as a villain for Power Rangers? Man, for the villain of any Power Rangers season, man. I would say Goldar, but not he. He wasn't really. I mean, best right hand man. I don't know. I liked the Ecliptor a lot from Power Rangers in Space. I thought he was good. You know, he mostly didn't let Astronema down. Mostly, I thought he was pretty good. I liked him as a right hand man though too. So there's a little bit of a bias there. I don't think that Hasbro is going to do the super season thing, or at least I hope that they don't. But you know, they could very well. Yeah, Emmanuel Kobion. Yeah, that's what it'll come down to. Also, is what Toei wants to do. So, oh, Kamen Rider Ryuki's getting a CSM set. That's cool. I would get it. Power Rangers RP. I don't know that they will. I don't think that. I don't think that Power Rangers. I mean, I would like to think that Hasbro would do that too, where they'll capitalize on the 5th and 10th anniversaries of seasons. But unless Power Rangers really blows up, I'm not sure that that's going to happen anytime, that we could expect to see that happen anytime soon. I mean, if you look at Super Sentai, it took them a while before they finally started doing that. That's something they've just started doing in recent years, that they've done these 10th anniversary seasons or specials of seasons. So of seasons that come after, the fact. So, I mean, they could do that. I mean, they could do something where they show Sentai, where they could spin off a Kamen Rider from Super Sentai or from Power Rangers by doing that. So as long as they do it properly in a way that doesn't seem forced or cheesy, that's plausible, it could work. Have you seen Go Under 10 Years Grand Prix movie? No, I have not. As far as I'm aware, New Zealand still have a contract with filming PR. They might have. The thing is that contract might last for a couple more years, and then once it's up, it just depends on what Hasbro wants to do from there. Hasbro can either renew it or they can move on. Rito was a good right hand man. He actually got the job done too. First time he showed up, but then again, he wasn't a right hand man then, I would say, but he was. Yeah, I would say he was right. Yeah, retire super seasons, right? They should definitely consider doing something about that. What do you think? What would you think of a Power Rangers Netflix seasons? I mean, I think streaming is the way of the future, so I think eventually that's something we're going to get to. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind binging it, like most people. That's how people watch shows nowadays. Is just they binge them. So, man, yeah, I really wish. Yeah, I do wish that they had used the Die Ranger suits for season 2. I really think that they should have done the costume change a lot sooner, but I kind of understand why they didn't. They wanted people already familiar with those, and they probably felt that, they wanted that to stick in kids' minds, so they probably weren't sure how kids would react to a change that early on. And you got to remember, this was when Power Rangers was still new, so they probably weren't sure how people would react to that big of a change that early on in something. Because remember, when Go Ranger aired in Japan, Go Ranger was like 80 episodes, so that aired for well over a year. I believe it's 80 some odd episodes. So Go Ranger was airing for well over a year. It gave people plenty of time to get used to the costumes. So would you like to see the 30th? What would you like to see for the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers? They need to bring back Jason Lee Scott. They need to bring back the original Red Ranger. That's what they need to do. He's been long overdue for a anniversary appearance, in my opinion, and it would be cool to see where he's at right now, what he's doing, what his character's doing. And when I say like bring him back, just bring him back. You know what I mean? Bring him back with others from various seasons. I don't think it's fine if they seem they're making it a thing of really just kind of milking the fact of bringing Tommy all the time. You don't have to just bring back Tommy. Bring back some of the other people that help make that show famous. So let's see. Oh, BrolyCon. Oh, you went to Ranger Stop, BrolyCon? Yeah, I think we'll get team crossovers again. I don't see any reason for them not to do it. I mean, they should capitalize on that. Those are always fun too. As the credits of Henshin time, you credit Jesus. Are you deeply inspired when you work on the episodes? Yeah, I mean, My faith definitely has a lot to do with inspiration for sure. I would definitely say I do that because I believe that it's a blessing for me, you know. So it's something to me. It definitely, that's part of the inspiration that goes into anything I do, not just Henshin time, just work in general. So it helps keep me grounded too when it comes to a lot of things. So, do I know how well the Voltron Force toy sold? I have no idea, but it doesn't seem, at least to me, if you're talking about the newest Voltron toys, they seem to be kind of a mixed bag in terms of sales. I didn't necessarily see them flying off the store shelves all that quick. People, they like, it's all about the old school Voltron. I think that's where people really. I know the show is, it gets its, you know, it gets talked about a lot, but I don't know how the toy sales are with it. Oh wow, Go 5's Yellow Ranger actor is not doing too well. That's unfortunate. Hope they get better. That's a shame. Hopefully they'll be able to get some kind of treatment. The PR NYC, like one for each bro with the common stereotypes. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. All right, I'd like to see Billy come back. Billy would be. I wouldn't mind seeing Billy back either. But the thing is, given the fact that it's pretty public knowledge that David Yost had a very sour relationship with Saban Brands, I think now that Hasbro's taken it over, that could change. I think it's probably more of a possibility now, but while it was still owned by Saban, not a chance. Wouldn't have seen any chance that David Yost would have returned. But I think now that Hasbro has it, I think that there might be a chance that you could see Billy come back in a future episode. But not as long as Saban owned it. Oh, you've gone to every Year of Ranger Stop. That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. Thank you for coming to the show. Keep coming, man. Hopefully we're just gonna make it better and better every year. We're just trying to grow it along. Oh, Adrian, what's going on, man? How you doing, bud? Always thought TJ was underrated. Yeah, TJ is a very likable character. The actor played him, Selwyn Ward, too, is a heck of a nice guy. The costume contest, I'm not in charge of that. That's something you would need to speak to the person in charge of that. I mean, we could talk to them. That's all really we can do. We could just talk to them and address people's concerns to them. So, and see what they can do. See what changes they can make. Bringing a Ranger at random, for example, bringing in Dino Thunder Red season after Beast Morphers. That wouldn't be bad. I mean, seeing Ranger actors pop in from the past and future episodes wouldn't be bad. It'd be nice because it would just connect the overall universe better to see some of them show up. As long as it's relevant to the story, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like a guest appearance from a past Ranger in a modern season. You know, like I said, it would just help tie things in better. So, man, I would love to see a good Power Rangers game in the future. There hasn't been one, in my opinion, since the '90s one, since the ones on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. They just haven't been able to get it down right. I mean, I've heard the mobile game. I've heard mixed things about the mobile game, but it's not something that I can see myself playing. So, I'm hoping they'll get it right, though. Oh, I'm hoping they'll get it right. One can only hope, right? Yeah, I would figure that now that Hasbro owns it, that David Yost would be more willing to appear on the show again. Yeah, there was no way he was going to do it while Saban still had a hold of it. So he had a very bad experience, apparently. while he was there. So according to what he said, anyways, some years back. So all right, Dark Man Jeff, thanks for being on the stream. We appreciate you, man. Thank you for the questions. What are your hopes for the sequel to the 2017 movie of Power Rangers? I'm hoping that there actually isn't a sequel. I hope that they just reboot the whole thing. I didn't care for the first movie. And if they're going to do a sequel, I just, hopefully what they'll do is that they'll try to make a story where it kind of stands out a little bit more on its own and doesn't try to do things that other movies have already done better, but try to do things, it's fine if it wants to take cues from certain movies, but it really needs to do things to stand on its own, I think, in order for me to be excited about it. On a scale of from "Oh, what a miracle" to "What else but Saban," how likely would there be an explanation for certain Rangers' powers returning despite being destroyed? Man, I think I think at this point, man, there's never going to be an explanation. That's one of the things with the show. They're never going to explain how these people's powers came back. They're hoping that people just forgot about that. That's what they're doing. And at this point, they've done it so much, it's not even a thing that they're going to bother addressing. They're just going to let it ride on. I think even Hasbro is not even going to touch that one. They're just going to be like, well, there's already been so many inconsistencies throughout the course of the entire series so far. There's no sense in us even addressing that. We'll just continue to just act like, oh, don't know how that happened. It is what it is. So never. That is never going to happen, I think. So I don't think that's something that's ever going to be addressed. They don't care. They're just going to keep. They're going to be lackadaisical about it. It's like, oh well. Why have they stopped doing the yearly team-ups? Probably since Dino Thunder SPD not counting anniversaries. I think what it was is that they just didn't want to bring those actors back. That's what it came down to. They probably just thought it would be more cost-effective to just cut out the team-ups, because obviously that's something that started with Disney. So they probably just figured that, it would be just more cost-effective to not bring back the former actors. I heard about the potential for a sequel. I hope that I would prefer them to just reboot it, but if they're going to do a sequel, I just hope that they do something that is plausible and just, as long as they weave a good story around it, and like I said, do something that could really stand out on its own and not feel like it's a movie that has tropes that other movies have done better. So, what do you think of Tommy's rumored new Morpho, which allows him to use all his forms? I've heard about that. I don't think that they should do that. They should just keep it basic. I think that's a little, because that's the thing is with something like that, then you have to explain. But then again, they could do something like that because they don't really have to explain how he obtained a Morpher like that, I guess. But what changes would you like to see in the franchise during Hasbro's run? Well, one thing I'll tell you, Thomas, is I hope that they stop doing the long mid-season breaks in between season. I think they're not helping the show at all. And I hope that they get back to a format where it's a 40-episode format. That's what I would like to see. A straight 40-episode format all the way through, 40-episode plus format. And I just hope that they get writers on it there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of cheesy and campy humor, but every line from the Rangers when they're fighting or whatever, there shouldn't be so many contrived. The show should not have as many contrived jokes as it does. All right, Ty, thank you for joining the stream. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the Super Ninja Steel special. I may, maybe I will. I don't know. It's like Power Rangers Super Legends. I have not played that one. What are your opinions on the cockpit mode power ups? I actually think both Samurai Shogun modes and Super Dino Drive look cool enough for the most part. I mean, that was fine, I guess. Samurai is actually where I stopped watching Power Rangers because I was just after, I guess, and I've talked about this before. I think what the biggest problem was is that I watched Samurai right after I watched RPM, and RPM is such a stark contrast to it. And having a show like Samurai follow it up and be so like, it's like it de-evolved. They went back to a formula that I believe that they had already matured out of, and in Samurai they go right back to it, and it's not good. Like the jokes are really bad. The jokes are really contrived and really just horrible. The puns and the jokes are just really bad, and I just wasn't feeling that. Dino Charge helmets ruined it for you. Well, with the silver lips and painted mouth plates on Samurai. Yeah, well, that's old school. They're just going back. Have you heard of a TV show, video games called Beautiful Joe? Yes, I have. Beautiful Joe? Yeah, I have heard of those. I've never played any of them, though. Yeah, I agree with you, Patty Murphy. They should. It was a lot better than the stupid contrived jokes that they brought back, so. See if past Rangers in that series. Maybe. Yeah, possibly. See, one thing that I hope that they keep in Beast Morphers that's in Go Busters is when the when the morphers say it's morphin' time. I doubt that they'll do that, but I hope that they do. What got you back into Power Rangers? For me, do you mean back then or recently? Because back then, if it's back then, what got me back into Power Rangers was Power Rangers in Space. Because by the time that Turbo started is when I started to kind of stop watching, and I didn't really watch a lot of Turbo. I watched every now and then, but that's what really kind of made me stop watching. Space is what brought me back. When I saw Space and I gave Space a chance, that's what brought me back to watching the series. Then I watched Space, and then I watched like maybe like the first 6 episodes of Lost Galaxy, and then I was just kind of done for years after that. Okay. What are your hopes for Hasbro doing a legacy type line? There's a very good chance of them doing a legacy line. I don't see why they wouldn't do it. I mean, they'd be passing up on money right there. So I don't know what the quality is going to be like. I mean, Hasbro has done a fairly decent job with toys. I mean, but there's sometimes some of the stuff they put out is questionable, like with some of the Marvel stuff they've put out. The quality of it is sometimes like, not sure about this, but there's a good chance that they're going to do all that. There's a good chance that they're going to be doing their own version of the legacy line. There's no reason for them not to. I mean, like I said, they'll make a lot of money with it, so they'd be foolish not to do it. Be passing up on a huge opportunity. So let me ask you all something here. How many of y'all are into tabletop games and trading card games and things of that nature? Comic books and so forth. And just so you all know, I have read the first 8 issues of the Power Rangers comic book. I'll be doing a review on that here in the near future. I might do a live review. I'm still up in the air if I'll do a live review like here online, or like do it during a live stream, or if I'll film it beforehand. Still up in the air about it, but it's definitely coming. The Power Rangers Transformers crossover, that will happen, I think, once Boom Studios' contract is up with the comic. I think that's when you'll probably see a crossover, because IDW is owned, I believe they're owned by Hasbro. So once the contract is up with Boom, you know, the IDW is probably going to take over making the Power Rangers comic book at that point. So that's when I think you'll see a crossover between Transformers and Power Rangers, and you'll probably see potentially other crossovers, maybe even G.I. Joe and Power Rangers. So you're not a big fan of tabletop games? I find them boring. Oh, Patty Murphy, you're breaking my heart. You should give them a chance. They're actually a lot of fun. They're very social. You just got to find a good. What can be boring? Honestly, I would say it's board games are not as fun to play if you don't have at least, I would say, a good sweet spot for playing board games 7, at least four more people. If you're not playing with 4 more people, then they're going to be boring. When it's just you and one other person, it's going to be a lot harder. Unless it's a TCG or a CCG. What games are you into, Thomas Proctor? You into like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh? There's a bunch of TCGs out there right now. Like TCGs are exploding right now. Durga Devi, hey, how you doing? Hasbro doesn't own IDW. I do. Are you sure about that? Because I could have sworn that they had bought IDW. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe you're right. Maybe you are right. Because I know IDW has all the other Hasbro licenses, but I could have sworn that IDW had been bought by Hasbro, because IDW is also making the Magic the Gathering comic book. They're bringing back the Magic the Gathering comic book. So Yu-Gi-Oh mostly. That's one I never learned to play, but I hope to learn to play Yu-Gi-Oh here in the near future. Lord Nexus, I will be going back to collecting cards from the new Transformers trading card game that's coming out this fall from Wizards of the Coast. I heard about that game. I heard about it, but I haven't, I don't know, like I was going to watch a review on that. So thanks for reminding me. There was somebody that had reviewed it that was at Gen Con. Need to watch that. What type of video game would you like for Power Rangers? What I'd like to see for a Power Rangers video game would be something like a beat 'em up. I think that's the best kind of format for a Power Rangers game, in my opinion, is a beat 'em up. Like the original Super Nintendo one, I think they should make a game like that. You play tabletop, or you play card games sometimes? What card game do you play, Lewis? Patty Murphy, well, yeah, I know IDW, they're not doing too good right now, so I don't blame you. I don't blame you for not wanting to see him, but that's probably the most likely route, though. They probably will move it to IDW once the contract is up with Boom. You've been interested into getting into Magic the Gathering. I recently started playing Magic the Gathering. It's actually it's a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Kind of late to the party, because I remember people playing that back in the day. Like that game came out when I was a kid, so it came out when I was like 12 or 13 years old. So, and I remember I wanted to try playing it back then, but I just never got around to it. Adrian, yeah, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Exactly, yeah, something like that. If they do a Power Rangers game like that, I think that's the best kind of, that's the best kind of format for a game like that. I just don't see any other, any other format that would be good for a Power Rangers game, or any other genre. I would say that it would be good for them outside of something like a beat 'em up like that. If there's any card series I want to collect, it would definitely be Kamen Rider, Gan Rising, especially the rare shiny cards. That's something that could potentially come over here at some point. That Marco from Marco Satsu is getting married. No, I did not know that. See, the thing is, I know Marco. Like, I know Marco and he knows me, but we don't know each other personally. Like, we're friendly with each other, but like me and him have never had like a real conversation. Like me and him we've never met in person. Like we've talked a bit online, Like I've checked out a couple of his live streams and stuff like that. We've chit-chatted there, but we've never really like talked, so I don't really know him like that. But congratulations to him. What if they made a PR game with Mortal Kombat style like blood fatalities and fatalities? Maybe. I mean, probably not the fatalities, but maybe some of the other silly stuff. Maybe. So the buddy roids will be called beast bots. Do you think that'll likely create bot characters from the show? Something. I mean, because of them calling them bots, don't be surprised if they try to reference, now that they have the license, that they could potentially reference the fact that Power Rangers could take place in the same universe as Transformers. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to find a way to, if not hint towards that. But maybe if they don't hint towards it, or they might just outright say it. But I don't know. It just depends on what their long-term plans are with Power Rangers. So, what? He announced it in one of the latest videos. He also announced his retirement from YouTube the same day. What? How did I not hear this? I'm subscribed to Marco. I must have not seen that. Maybe I didn't get the notification for that. I had no idea. Man, everybody's retiring from YouTube. I know Zarin, he's retiring this year. Like, people are just leaving YouTube. That's crazy. Joshua Franks, IDW license probably has Hasbro that Hasbro owns. We're shutting down and making them a long-range transfer. Well, I heard the Transformers had gotten a little bit political or very social. So I think that's what happens. I mean, look, people just want to read comic books. They don't want to. People read comic books as an escape, just like the reason they play games and all that. They do as an escape from everyday life. They ain't trying to have that stuff in their media. So they just want to have fun. NEW's doing so bad now. Maybe Hasbro. Yeah, maybe. I know that IDW, I believe they recently just fired the CEO or whatever, the president of the company. Get Japanese mecha toys in the US. Are we getting? Probably. I mean, there's a good chance for that, BrolyCon. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Hasbro wants to use some of the Japanese molds of the figures. They got a pretty good deal with Takara on certain molds and things like that. They have some kind of understanding with them, from what I understand. So it wouldn't be surprised if they do something similar with Bandai, because Bandai's still going to be making the toys in Japan. So. Is it okay to give you a live rating for the Shattered Grid storyline of Boom Studios on Power Morphicon? If so, I would glad. I'm not sure what you're asking me there, Red Rob. You want to give me a live reading for the Shattered Grid storyline of Boom Studios while you're at Power Morphicon, or? John missed out at the start of tonight's Q&A. What's the legal copyright status of your case? So far, as far as I know, I'll find out by tomorrow. That'll be whether or not things, for the time being, I think everything's going to be all right. I don't want to speak too soon, but it looks like everything should work out fine. But if things don't go my way, basically tomorrow, I'll probably end up getting a strike on my channel, in which case I wouldn't be able to live stream like this for at least 3 months or something like that. And then they would end up removing Henshin Time Part 2. That's like the worst case scenario, right? As far as how that's going to go down, I'll probably find out after midnight tonight for sure. So for those of you that are following me on Twitter, pay attention to my Twitter, because as soon as I find out, like 100% that I have some kind of confirmation, I'll probably tweet about it. So I might even make a video about it. So just be paying attention to my social media, because I should be able to find out in a couple hours here. So I'm hoping everything turns out all right, because I filed an appeal, but if the appeal doesn't go through, that's the worst possible case scenario I'm looking at. If the appeal doesn't go through, I could end up getting a strike and the video could end up being removed. So but like I said, that's in a worst case scenario. In a not so bad case scenario, I could end up, I could be, they might tell me to remove it. It might, the video itself just might not be monetized, but still be available for people to watch. There's a couple different things that could potentially happen here, but like I said, I'll know for sure in a couple hours. Go commit Despacito. Are you trying to say Despacito? Random meme? The whole Transformers combo. Oh, the IDW is rebooting it. Okay. Well, I mean, they probably should if it's not doing that well. Okay. Hasbro did decide to connect. If they did try to connect it to the PR universe, I would think that they would go from as far as with Transformers. I mean, go with Generation 1. Go with the most well-known and connect it to, MMPR from then on. I mean, so. Have you ever played Bakugan? I have never played Bakugan, but I've heard of it. That's one of those fads that I was already way too old for when it came out over here. The thing I've been playing lately that I've been actually trying to play, I've been playing a lot of TCGs lately, trying to learn them a little bit, because for my other channel, I'm going to be doing more like board game, comic book, and just like things that I don't talk about here on this channel, and maybe some other subject matter I'll be talking about on that channel. I'm still trying to grow that channel. For those of you that don't know it, the link should be in the description below of this video. It's my John Miss Prime channel. But one game I have been playing a bit as of late is, hold on, I'll show you guys. Actually, is this one. Warhammer, Age of Sigmar Champions. This is the new TCG game that they came out with last week, or a week or two ago, I believe. I've been playing officially. Came out. So I've been playing that a bit, and that the mechanics of that one are a lot like the game called Light Seekers, where you kind of have to turn the cards. Here, I'll show you guys real quick here what one of the cards looks like. It's basically one of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champion cards, but basically, yeah, it's like it's got this system where once you put down the cards, you just got to kind of turn them. That's what makes these attributes on the corner take effect. But I've been playing that a lot, which is pretty fun. I don't know if it'll be competition for Magic, but I hope that it will be. I mean, I've had a blast playing it so far. Let me see. Do you think Megazords will be better or worse under Hasbro? I think Megazords are going to be better. I think anything that is transformable under Hasbro will be better. I think you'll see much better quality Zords coming out of Hasbro than you ever saw, or at least since the early days of Bandai. I think they'll be the best thing that we'll have seen yet, or at least that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we'll see better quality Zords. I think that they'll do something similar to the Zord Builder system, because I think that's smart to do something like that, because it gives the Zords much more replayability. But what I'm hoping is if they do that they're going to make them out of much better quality materials. Because one thing I don't like about the Zord Builder Zords, from what I've seen, is they just feel cheaper. They don't feel like the plastic just feels very, very fragile. And that's one thing I don't like about the Zord Builder Zords. And also the Zord Builder Zords are, at least to me, they're much smaller than a lot of the original molds from back in the day. I know they've gotten gradually smaller over the years, but I'm hoping that they can make something that's a little bit better quality. The lore of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've heard the lore is pretty good at that game. I need to really, that's another one I want to learn to play. I want to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I want to learn how to play the Pokemon card game too. The other card games that I want to learn to play is Force of Will. I want to learn how to play the Final Fantasy card game as well, the Final Fantasy TCG. I want to learn how to play that. Like, I want to learn how to play them all. They all seem like a lot of fun. So another one I want to learn how to play is Card Fight. What's it called? Card Fight Vanguard, which I believe they also have an anime out for. Ask James. Oh snap! Yo, Adrian, you got to come out of retirement, man. You got to be the best Yu-Gi-Oh player once again, man. Come on, Adrian. Teach me how to play, bro. Teach me how to believe in the heart of the cards. Teach me, bro. Teach me how to become a master, so we can go to tournaments and wreck a bunch of little kids. Come on, let's do it, man. I'm down to learn for real. Like, I really do want to learn how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I want to learn how to play all these card games because, they don't take nearly as long as board games. I still love playing board games, but that's one thing I do like about playing card games is that they're so much faster to play. I'm thinking that that's the other thing too, is the quality of the morphers and all that. I'm hoping will be better as well. Yeah, I saw that episode of Dino Thunder where they were watching Abba Ranger. Yeah, I saw that. Funny stuff. That's one thing I liked about the Disney seasons, is that the Disney seasons acknowledged a lot of the tropes, and they were actually more. They seemed to be willing to talk about the fact that, it was an adapted show and things like that. They were a little bit more willing to break the fourth wall. That's something that I appreciated about some of the Disney seasons. Like, they did it in RPM too. So I'm going to have to look into that. Oh, dude, Adrian, come on, bro. Let's go. Let's go to these TCG tournaments, man, and let's wreck people, man. Do you like RPGs? I do. I have a very big collection of RPGs, actually, from especially on the PlayStation. Oh my gosh. Like, I was like I really got into RPGs when the Super Nintendo came out. That's when I really went RPG crazy, because I played all the main ones that came out on the Super Nintendo minus Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger was the only one I didn't. I played Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy, Mystic Quest, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 2. So, and 3 is like, or 6 as it's known in Japan, is my all-time favorite Final Fantasy game. So, all right, Lewis. Well, yeah, we'll definitely, hopefully, if everything turns out well, there will be another live stream, hopefully relatively soon. So, yeah, Adrian, dude, we got to hit up some TCGs, man. Some TCG tourneys. I'd be down for that. So, but all right, I'm going to take a few more questions, and then I'm going to go ahead and call the stream for the night, because there's other things I have to work on. But for those of you that are following me on Twitter, if you're not following me on Twitter, hype for Smash 5. You know what I'm hype about is that they brought back Simon Belmont in his original look, and it is about time. They brought him back as the beefy, golden-haired barbarian that he was in the very first game. That's what I'm excited about. It's about time that they made him look like a man again. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh anymore? Is it because it's just like, I'm done with it? Well, the idea, I think the reason why Vengeance is probably, they were probably trying to play up on the whole Skynet thing, a future where a diabolical AI ruined the world. I think that was probably some of the inspiration for why they decided to make it a diabolical AI. It was probably a lot of the influence of Skynet and things like that from the Terminator series. Another video game tournament at Ranger Stop? We probably could. We probably could bring back Super Smash Brothers tournament to Ranger Stop. I could talk to, because I'm in charge of putting stuff like that, of events like that. The other thing I'm not in charge of is things like the costume contest and like the VIP dinner. Those are the only events that I have no kind of say in whatsoever. Those are separately run events, but as far as scheduling the rest of them, that's something that I could see if we can do. We could see about doing another video game tournament. If we do another video game tournament at Ranger Stop, it would probably be we'd probably do Super Smash Brothers, and I would probably see if we could do Dragon Ball Fighters, because I think that would be a good fit for a tournament at Ranger Stop. So, Beats of Power? No, I've never even heard of it. I'll have to look that up. Dark Samus, I have to look it up. Ranger Stop, we do it here in Orlando, Florida. It's right across the street. We do it right across the street from Universal Studios Orlando. Just go to rangerstop.com. You'll get all the information on there. What was your reaction to Luigi's death on Smash Brothers Ultimate trailer? I heard a lot about that. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I'm going to have to watch it because I heard about that. I heard some people were mad. I'm going to have to look into it, though. I'm going to have to look into that. But yeah, I heard about that. I heard some people were upset. Oh, Luigi, no. Well, beat 'em up is, like I said, I think beat 'em up is the best way to do a Power Rangers game. They should make a plain themed Sentai called Air Ranger. They could. Dragon Ball or Injustice 2 tournament or Injustice 2. Yeah. I mean, we could definitely put it out there. You know what? I might make a poll on the Ranger Stop fan page and see if people would want to have a video game tournament at the show. And if there's a good enough response for it, yeah, maybe we'll do that. It would probably only be on either Sunday or Friday. We wouldn't be able to do it on the Saturday. We'd have to do it on the Friday or the Sunday of the show. Another car-based Sentai. I'm sure you won't have to wait long to see another car-based Sentai, whether it be racing themed or whatever. Don't be surprised if you were to see like a construction themed Super Sentai in the future. I mean, I could see them doing that. I don't know why that just popped in there, but I could see them doing something like a construction vehicle themed Super Sentai. So, have the Megazord look like Devastator from Transformers. That's one I could see in the future. So, okay, so hopefully here in the near future, what theme would you like to see in a Ranger theme? I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing them adapt Tokudra. I think it would be cool to see a Tokudra adaptation and see. I liked a lot of the monster designs in Tokudra. I know people have certain reservations about Tokudra as a series. I liked it. I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it had its quirks, and I could understand why some people don't like it. But some of the monster designs were pretty cool, though. Oh, you mean for the exclusives? We'll keep that in mind. That's a good point to bring up. I'm not sure if we're gonna have. I think all we're gonna have this year is an exclusive. We might just have an exclusive print, although we are looking at potentially doing an exclusive for Megaforce, like the symbol for the Super Megaforce symbol. So basically, the pirate symbol from Gokaiger. We're thinking about potentially doing something. Potentially doing an exclusive of that, but we're not 100% sure yet. Marvel, that is a co-production with Marvel. Denzi Man, Battle Fever J, Denzi Man, and Sun Vulcan were the three that were co-produced with Marvel. So as far as those shows ever being released, now since Hasbro has the license for Power Rangers, and they also have the license for Marvel toys. It could be possible that maybe they could have something, you know, they could have, we could see potentially those series being released. But if anything, I mean, I'm sure something could probably be worked out with Shout Factory to release those shows. But yeah, I believe that Marvel still co-owns the license to all three of those shows, if I'm not mistaken. That's why for the Into the Spider-Verse comic book series, that's why they were able to use the Japanese Spider-Man in the comic book, is because they still co-own the license to that, and they still, as far as I know, they still have the license, the license for those three shows too, because those were shows that they produced together. So yeah, it would probably be a comedy series. You're right, Patty. Well, if anything, we would probably do it on a Sunday, probably early Sunday, and then it would probably wrap up by the time the show closed. So I don't feel so good, crazy dude. You quoting Marvel? You quoting Spider-Man there? Could they show up in MCU movies? I doubt it. Yeah, in MCU movies, no, probably not. You'll probably won't see Super Sentai in an MCU movie. That I don't see that happening. In an animated setting like Into the Spider-Verse, it's more plausible, but no. Also, I still think the Echo in Peace is better than the Punisher. Do you mean the original Punisher from the 1990s, early 1990s? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Phaelus, I haven't seen yet, but I'll look into that person. Phaelus. You know what? I'll type it in right here into the search bar on YouTube so that I can look it up after I get off the stream here real quick. The American Common reference is being developed. Wouldn't Kabuto be perfect for being the first adapt? Kabuto would be a great Kabuto. I think Kabuto, X-Aid. But if you want to start off with something bug themed, Kabuto would be a fantastic series to adapt as a first, or I shouldn't say as a first, but as, you know, as a more modern Kamen Rider series. Yeah, Kabuto would be a good starting point. Kabuto, I mean, I would even say, I would say Kabuto always might be good. Double maybe, possibly. X-Aid because of the video game theme. So, but yeah, the Dolph Lundgren film. Yeah, so that. Do you think Power Rangers and Sentai could have a crossover? It's possible. Anything is possible. I mean, I think the one good thing about the Hasbro relationship, or Hasbro taking over, is I think that, or at least I hope, my biggest hope is, but I think that they might be willing to take chances that Saban wasn't willing to take, because I don't see, because they should be, Hasbro's making money hand over fist. They're not going anywhere. I think if they took some of these chances, it would pay off for them. I don't see any downside. The worst that could happen is maybe people don't respond to it, and then they learn from it, and then they just don't do it again. But look, they have the license now. They might as well try to do things a little bit differently. They should learn from Saban brands and see all the things that didn't work from them and not make those same mistakes. So, but with that is where I'm going to end the stream tonight. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. Like I said, I'll keep you guys up to date on the whole situation with the Saban brands, or the Saban's Power Rangers channel, and see how things end up there. You all will be the first to know. So just follow me on Twitter. If anything, all the links for social media are in the description below. And if you guys want to check out more content on my other channel, the link for that is also in the description below, the Jonimus Prime channel, where I will be uploading other videos. So be sure to check that out. Yeah, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight was a decent show. But that is all for this stream, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys hanging out, asking the questions. I'll let you guys know when the next one is coming. Just like I said, be sure to follow the social media. That's where I always put it on when I'm going to be streaming, or I'll post it here on YouTube in the post. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, you know how it goes. The hunt continues. Y'all, we'll see you soon.